When did the class clown take it too far? I knew a guy, high school student in the late 60s. He and his best friend were very close, but had also dated the same girl. My buddy dated this girl first, now the friend was dating her. No problems, but they both understood how this could be perceived as a potential friendship ender. They had a joke all planned out. The best friend grabbed some ketchup packets from a fast food restaurant. After lunch, he was sitting in class with the packets torn slightly, tucked unnoticeably in his hand. My buddy had the starter pistol from the track and field team. You see where this is going. My buddy ran into the classroom and shouted, "You can't steal my girl from me. If I can't have her, no one can." He fired the starter pistol, filled with blanks, not bullets, in the direction of his best friend. The friend, who had jumped up from his desk during the shouting, clutched his chest from the fake bullet wound, sending horrifying streaks of red ketchup flying all over his white t-shirt. He collapsed. The look of horror on the face of every student in the room, my buddy said, was amazing. He and his best friend both got detention. Sometimes I think about this story, and I wonder what would happen if high school students tried this in a post-Columbine world. It's crazy how much times change in just a couple of generations. This one kid thought it would be funny to snort a line of that sour powder. This was no small line, mind you. I actually think he was rubbing it off the candy. Anyways, he does his line and instantly starts screaming. His nose was gushing blood and I honestly think he popped a blood vessel in his eye. Ran out of the room and later saw an ambulance come to the school. Did you go to school in Colorado? I had the exact same thing happen to my friend. 7th grade teacher in Colorado here. My students have been snorting Tajin recently. Pulled out a chair from underneath a kid thinking it would be really funny when the kid fell. The kid ended up falling and cracking his head open and getting around 30 stitches. I was going to tell this same story except the girl broke her tailbone when the chair was pulled. Okay, so I was the girl who cracked her tailbone in grade school after a kid did this to me. It was honestly kind of satisfying to have all of the jerks who were bullying me feel like shit for actually physically hurting me. Straight up just peed on the floor in the middle of class and convinced the teacher it was spilled water so he cleaned it up. Honestly, not even class clown shit at that point, just being a gross. He didn't get in nearly enough trouble. We had this one kid in our class in high school. I don't want to call him weird, and I'm genuinely not sure if he had a disorder, but he spoke with a lisp and didn't seem to have many friends. Our interactions were few and, well, weird for lack of a better word. I don't mean the offensive weird, just the objective not normal. The only vivid memory I have of him is being 2 seats away from him being asleep in class, and hearing a little sputtering noise and seeing his desk coated in water. Kid between us goes, Did you just throw up on the desk? He responds with, "No, it's just water." And then we just went about our day like nothing ever happened. Never wiped it up, never questioned it. Just continued learning about whatever shit I was learning in that class. We had a girl like that. We had those tall science room stools with the gap in the middle for using as a handle. We heard a weird splashing sound and there was a bit of whispered commotion near her. Then another girl who was sat near weird girl put her hand up and said, "Miss, can you come here?" The teacher walked down the class to weird girl's desk and saw what was clearly piss all over the floor. She tried to handle it without embarrassing the girl, but obviously this was hard. Weird girl was getting annoyed at the teacher saying, "It's just water," and refused all offers to leave the room. She sat there in her piss the whole lesson with piss all over the floor because she wouldn't clean it up when the teacher said, "Oh, it's water." Okay, just clean it up then. Another time she did the same thing and was going, "It's water," and arguing with the people who sat around her who were all saying, "No, it isn't. You've done this twice now." She was super strange. It came across more as punishing people by making them smell her piss than her having a medical issue. It was all so strange and creepy. Kid was always doing dumb stunts just to make people laugh. He got sick of climbing on / random things and jumping stairs one day and decided it'd be funny to smack into walls. His first few walls were fine as they were all concrete. There was a girl crying in the hallway and he figured he could make her laugh by making a funny face and tackling the glass door. He went through the door and needed stitches, leaving splatters of blood and broken glass on the way to the office. Did it make her laugh? Laugh? No. but it did distract her from what was bothering her as she was busy trying to help, so that's a plus, I suppose. When I was in 3rd grade, we were all doing our thing, coloring, reading, etc. The class clown was being really noisy and kept goofing off. We were all having fun and the class clown eventually sat down. It wasn't long before he was laying on the floor, foaming out of his mouth, shaking violently. We all laughed. It was a joke, right? Before long the teacher came rushing over to see the new joke the kid came up with. She immediately called 911 and he was rushed out of the room. He had a seizure while the whole class thought he was joking. He recovered and everything was fine. I just feel bad for the kid. Holy frick, that's terrifying to imagine. Imagine saying help. I can't breathe. And your friends are just like, haha, good one. Then you pass out and shit goes down. Oh my god, that's freaky. Friend decided to shove his hands into my back pockets and grab my, wasn't wearing a belt. Ended up panting me straight to the floor. I was wearing spandexy type underwear at the time, caught those on the way down too and ended up like pulling it down to where my sprung out of them. What was bad was worse, as our track coach had just walked in looking for me and she got a full frontal. Not to mention the class saw everything as well as I tried to pull my pants up only to realize my was out on full display. Didn't even get detention SMH. Big in it? It wasn't on an armchair though, that's the true measurement tool. Kid, class clown, in elementary school made fun of a boy no one liked. He was kinda an, but one day the boy said his mom had a miscarriage and the other kid thought it would be a great insult later in the week to tell him something along the lines of, your brother is better off dead, it's a good thing your mom had a miscarriage. Don't think we've ever rallied for this kid as hard as we did that day. Not cool. My friend's father took his own life when we were about 7 years old. A nasty boy in the class said, I would kill myself, too, if I was your dad. It was awful. When my mother died, my brother was around 12. Some kid made a similar joke and got a pencil through his hand. There was a class clown in my class and another one from the senior class at the time. They'd collaborated to throw toilet paper all over the schoolyard as a joke. I forget exactly what it was, but there was some kind of very important event going on that day and we were supposed to have a lot of visitors that afternoon. The principal was not amused. He said if they'd done that on any other day, he'd probably just let it go after making them clean it up. They got detention and one of the teachers made them personally apologize to the elderly janitor who had to clean that shit up in the dark when it was freezing cold. Edit, the janitor found the mess when he'd gotten to school that morning while it was still dark around 6 a.m. or so. He started cleaning it up himself, before anyone knew who did it. The office pulled the footage from the outdoor security cameras later that morning. Because it was such a small school, those dudes were identified in about 30 seconds LMAO. My roommate was a class clown type. We had both been out of school for years at this point. One day, I spent the entire day making syrup. It's a long process of letting the ingredients simmer down for hours. But it's a labor of love and I was willing to do it. After I finished the syrup, I put it in the fridge to cool while I got a shower. For some fricking reason, my roommate decided to pour a bunch of hot sauce in my syrup, ruining the whole pot and wasting my entire day. He didn't understand why I didn't find it funny and got pissed when I got mad. He was a jerk. It dumped it on the floor in his room and spread that stickiness all over. Senior year. Teacher wouldn't give her a hall pass to use the bathroom, which was ridiculous. Instead of taking a more conventional stand, like walking out of the room, she sat down in her desk and pissed her pants. She was suspended, I forget for how long. There were editorials back and forth in the school paper. I was on team, teachers shouldn't try to control our bowels but also maybe don't piss on the floor, though I do appreciate your taking one for the team. I remember a kid in my high school peed in the corner because the teacher said he wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom. He was completely upfront about it too. I'm going to the corner now. You sure I'm not allowed to leave?